Inside is a 2D puzzle platformer developed by Danish team Playdead Studios. The game takes us on a journey through a post-apocalyptic world where our character dubbed the Boy must break into a facility. While many games like to give the player some level of agency in achieving their goals, whether that be what levels to tackle first or how the story plays out, Inside sets the player on a path with one decision. You either survive and move the narrative forward, or die. Instead of giving the player agency, this game uses its gameplay, setting, camera, sounds, and narrative events to deliver a story that keeps the player engaged through its relatively short runtime. The game is structured as a puzzle game with minor platforming elements. The platforming in a vacuum is wholly uninteresting. Especially if you compare it to the likes of Mario or Rayman. But it's the tense moments the game designs that make even its most simple mechanics seem impactful. The game uses lighting and sounds to great effect. It opts out of using a memorable soundtrack in favor of ambient sounds that build atmosphere. Sounds are also used to cue the player into important moments or puzzle features, and it is the game's puzzles that are the backbone of its gameplay experience. Constant Steinkuhler defines games as well-defined problems that ostensibly have a clear initial state and goal state, with a traceable problem space in between them. Inside uses its space and its camera to clearly define what you need to accomplish in the room you are in. The game doesn't hide anything from the player, and there are no cheap tricks involved to pad out its puzzles. In this puzzle, the camera pans up to show the player a safe hanging over an edge and a breakable surface below. This lets the player know that most likely that safe is going to need to come crashing down if you want to progress. It uses space and the player's awareness to teach them the game's fundamentals, and teach them how they can die. And there are many ways to die in Inside. Tutorials are a very common feature among many games, but they often break immersion for the players by popping up annoying text boxes or having NPCs say things that break character. Inside opts for a more passive approach of teaching. Inside trusts the player to learn the game. The game uses the player's pattern recognition to let them know what to do next, and to let them know if they fail a task. Again, usually resulting in a gruesome death. Ralph Koster tells us about how games are just puzzles with patterns, and it's in learning these patterns that we learn the game. Inside really only has 3 controls, and so using pattern recognition from previous games, the player is able to seamlessly jump into the world without any bumps, making for a much more cohesive narrative experience. And Inside has a hell of a narrative to experience, going from this to this. The story of Inside is about control and individuality, and this is easily noticeable in the way it incorporates mind control into much of the gameplay. Inside tells its story without speaking a word. As previously mentioned, Inside uses its sound design to carry much of the emotional weight of the scene, but it also uses numerous event triggers to keep the stakes high and tensions higher. Sebastian Domsch describes event triggers as hairbreadth escapes and spectacular seeming coincidences presented to the player in a way that retains the illusion of control. So in Inside, whether you're narrowly escaping the jaws of vicious hounds or inches away from being torn apart by blades, you're never really in danger during these moments, unless you set the controller down. But regardless, you feel the danger and you experience real emotions as you clench your grip in fear that you just narrowly escaped death. The game turns its narrative and gameplay on its head for the last 20 minutes. For most of the game, you're sneaking around facilities, scared to be caught. Just about anything can kill you, and there really is no safety for the boy. The narrative teaches you to be cautious and fearful. That is, until the ending, where all of that is flipped on its head. Towards the end, the boy becomes one with this hive mind blob creature, and there's a reversal of roles between you and the game world. You crash through concrete walls with ease, trample civilians, and become a seemingly invincible presence in this world that has put obstacle after obstacle in your way. Inside is a stressful journey with numerous powerful moments that prompt just as many questions. The narrative might not give you any freedom over your choices, but it doesn't need to. For as much as the game has to offer in its linear narrative, it also lets the player's infinite imagination run wild, searching for an answer to the most important question the game has to offer. What was this all for? Why does the boy break into this facility? What was that blob creature, and is there really any resolution in the end? The conversation about the game is continued online in numerous posts and YouTube videos. The story goes beyond the confines of just the game and involves many people, not just the players. Many of the answers to this game are still being discussed, and it's possible they will never be answered. And that might not be good enough for some people. It's an incredibly polarizing way to tell a story, but Inside uses the unique aspects of video games to take risks in storytelling that you couldn't find anywhere else.